All right, so in this video, I want to share with you a few interesting stories to illustrate a really important point that can, I think, dramatically increase our own level of self-awareness, our own ability to communicate with ourselves, and our ability to more clearly articulate ourselves to other people. So in short, improve communication, hopefully improve understanding, and allow us to take these things to deeper, more honest and authentic levels. And really the first and the most important thing is this idea of that we all mean different things. Even though we might use the same word, we might mean different things. So the important point and concept is when relating with someone, in observing someone and being in a conversation, yes, listening and hearing the person, but what that can actually mean is, well, what does that mean for them or to them? Because generally what happens is we're in conversation and people generally react based on their own mental projections combined with their own emotional reactions, and they sort of check out, and after a certain point it like really almost doesn't even matter what you say or do, because they are off in la la land in their little movie projector delusion screen that they have going on. And honestly, this is something that I've been sensitive and really aware of since I was a very young child, and something which is still a pretty really present dynamic that I don't necessarily think a lot of people are really doing. So for example, I'll tell you a story that happened to me recently to illustrate pretty much exactly what I'm talking about. And two stories. So the story is hanging out with people and they're like making conversation about, oh, like privilege, like, oh, well, we have privilege because we're like white people. And then I was like kind of joking, being like, oh, well, I guess I have double privilege because I'm white and then I have penis, so I must have like all kinds of privilege. And I was kidding, like kind of haha, a little bit, but then somehow it twisted and got to basically being to the place where the success or business acumen that I've created for myself was really a result or only enabled by my privilege and like opportunities that I was given. And I was like, maybe, okay, but we'll come back to that. The other aspect was talking about, oh, well, what do you do with privilege? And my response was, well, you just enjoy it and have the best life that you can. So of course that sent them on a hashtag triggerfest, and then it became this tremendous level of judgment and criticism and harshness and just nastiness that came into the room and came pretty much at me because I have a penis, and somehow I represent all of these bad things. But then I'm like, they're off in la la land. They have no idea what I actually mean by what I just said, because they don't actually see me or how I live and how I'm showing up and then what those words even mean. So it's actually, they're actually doing the thing that they're trying to be an alternative to, which is not seeing someone, treating them like shit, treating them as if they're some type of pretty much treating them as if they're not like a present dynamic thing in front of them. And that's how they were treating me while they're accusing me of doing the thing that they're thinking is bad. But it's like, what? that's a bit of a mind fuck. But anyways, while they're off in la la land, and it gave me a moment to pause and be like, what do I mean by that? Well, enjoyment for me. Actually, before I get into that, I'll say the dynamic of how I usually look at it, how I would look at things as well. If I'm talking to someone and they, let's say, make a comment like that, okay, so I'm like, okay, I can see a couple of ways of which that word can mean, on like its worst type of expression. And then I can look at the person and see how they're showing up and how they're living their life, and then what they mean by that word, and then see if these things are all lining up and if that's actually, all on the same page. And to me, that is actually being present with someone, listening to someone, hearing someone, and like looking at them as a real human being in a respectful way. I might not agree with them. It might not be the way I would go about it, but I at least can understand what they mean and where they're coming from and how that relates to who they are, instead of just emotionally reacting and being like, you're a fucking asshole, you're a dick, and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, okay. So coming back to what I was originally saying, what those things mean to me and what I meant is like, enjoying it, making the best of it. So learning, consistently growing, sharing, becoming a better version of yourself, improving yourself, and sharing that with other people, trying to find some way that you can contribute value to the world, from some skill, some quality, some discipline, some whatever thing that you have and or can cultivate and build and take to a high degree that's noteworthy and interesting, that you can be excited about and passionate about and inspired by, that you can share that with other people in a way that has a positive impact for the world and for other people and for you. So it's like a win-win situation, i.e. you're enjoying it. You're enjoying the process, and other people are getting enjoyment from it as well. And making the best of it, doing the best you can, meaning whatever situation you have. So maybe you started with no money. Maybe you started with $1 million. Well, whatever that is, make the best of it that you can relative to what you've been given. Because we've all been given different types of things, yes. And we all also have the capacity to some degree to do whatever we can with what we have. And I don't know really anything else that's a bit more practical and pragmatic than just those simple things. And that's what I meant. But then I look at my life, and that's what my life is and has been, because that's, since I've been an adult, that's pretty much all I've done, is try to learn and grow and understand and develop skills and pursue interests, share those with people in a way that's helpful, try to help people that are around me, be a positive influence if I can, if people are open. If not, then step back and be respectful and let them live their own lives because they're their own person. So that's like one example. The other part of it is saying like, you just are where you are and have whatever you have because of privilege and you were given opportunities. It's like, is literally living off of $200, $300 a month for years while you work 80 hours a week or more, is that privilege? I mean, if it is, like, maybe my understanding of privilege is quite different, because that was my life. I mean, and it's still pretty much my life, meaning I'm working like all the time. So is that privilege? Because they were just like saying these things, and I'm like, I don't know, because when I look at how I started, let's say my online business, I spent consistent, 5 to 8 years of my life intensely studying and dedicating myself to a wide variety of things. And then I created a shitload of free information, put it out on the internet that I thought was valuable and I hoped it was valuable for other people. And then eventually that led to the creation of a business. Like, is that privilege? Is that me? Is that happening because I have a penis? Because I have a deep Adam's apple, or because of the color of my skin? If that only happens because of those things, then that's the exact thing that we're trying to be an alternative to. It's like we're trying to resolve, inequality and see people more humanely and compassionately for who they are, but yet the way we're doing that is opposite. So it's like, to be clear, they're engaged in these endeavors which they are telling themselves is making them more compassionate, making them more understanding, making the world a better place, fostering authentic, intimate communications. But how it actually shows up in reality is the exact opposite, because that is the state that they are in and what they are projecting and putting on to other people and the dynamics that they're literally creating. So that confuses me a little. I mean, it doesn't confuse me because I get it. Like, like, I get it. We're all trying to figure things out, and especially maybe we're young, or maybe we don't totally know who we are yet. I totally get it. It makes sense. Like, we're all trying to figure something out. Maybe have a better life for ourselves, have a better world to live in. Yeah, it makes total sense. The issue is that if we're not honest with ourselves, we don't actually see or understand ourselves, then it becomes quite challenging. So meaning, we show up in this conversation, we're talking about privilege, we're talking about this and all these complex social dynamics, but really what we're bringing to the table is guilt, insecurity, deep lack of self-worth and self-awareness, and the ability, and what I mean by that is the ability to have those things, know these things about yourself, and communicate that and relate that with the world and with yourself. Because these are the actual things and dynamics and processes that are behind a lot of the stuff. But if we don't see it, and then we layer on the like, oh, well, we're doing all these things and we are this and we're going to do that, to me, it's just not honest. So I think, and this is my bias, but I generally think as people, we kind of agree that honesty is usually like a better way of doing things. Not always. Sometimes there's the harsh truth, there's a soft truth, there's a gentle truth. There's variations on truth depending on where a person is at in the situations, but generally we can kind of agree that lying to yourself, lying to other people is not a good way to live. There's just something about that feels wrong. I don't know. It's just, to me, lying, just even as a kid, it always like felt like, I don't know. Like, I can do it, sure, but like something feels weird about it. And another one has to tell me that. It just, So I don't know. That could be my total privilege, my arrogance, my projection. If that's what it is, that's what it is, but I'm just being transparent, and that's what I think and that's what I feel. Which leads me to another, I guess, somewhat relevant topic, which is the last few videos I've posted have no comments, and this one also probably has the comments disabled. And generally, I am doing that for the very reasons that I outlined in this video, because the vast majority of the time people aren't hearing what I'm saying. They're not really seeing me at all. They're reacting to their own limited idea or understanding of what they think I said based on their emotional reaction, and not actually there's no healthy, there's no boundaries. There's no healthy, like, this is me, this is you. So there's no solid basis for any relation. Because for me, like, I'm honest with myself. I know I have a lot of weaknesses. I know I have a lot of flaws. My time is limited. My compassion is limited. My patience is limited. My mental energy is limited. I have all of these limited resources. So I am biased and interested in only using those things in like actual healthy situations where two people are showing up as two people and relating in that way, and people are aware of what they're bringing and showing up to the space, and that interests me. That I respond to that. I feel that in my body. It's a visceral thing, and when that's not there, I don't feel it. So then it's difficult for me to really even want to get into it. And then if that is absent, and then what becomes present in the space is guilt, anger, hostility, disrespect, I'm even completely less interested. Like, I'm out. Like, I have none. Like, because I'm honest with myself, my patience, my time, my energy, all these things are limited. I have them, but I only have so much for myself and for the people that are actually in my life that I care about, that I'm relating to, like, in the real world, not on YouTube comments. Because generally what's what YouTube comments are. They're either kind of a flippant, sarcastic, silly remark to hopefully get some kind of reaction or something. Or the other side of it is like just hateful disrespect, ignorance. Like on all the recent videos I've made about workshops and Qigong and Neigong, just threads of just hateful, ignorant, disrespectful nonsense. And it's like, I just don't give a fuck. Like, that's just the moral of the story. Like, I have a lot of stuff to do, and I'm here choosing to give my limited resources to people and hopefully add value and hopefully add something useful, meaning provide tools, context, conversations, people to be like, oh wait, I can kind of see that in myself, or I can see that in the world a little bit more. And then once you start to develop understanding and view on something, then over time you actually can start to understand it, and it has a bit less control over you. So then you can feel more empowered to actually be yourself, or be honest with yourself, or have breakthroughs in relationships, or a lot of things that can be, yes, simple, small, minor, but large, big, impactful, and add quality and enjoyment to life. But I could be wrong. You know, I don't know. I don't know everyone that's going to watch it. I don't know their situation, and I can't pretend to. I could come on and be like, hey guys, I'm a guru and I'm an expert, and I'm going to teach you the 7-second miracle to healing your life and your relationships, and I've used it in my relationships for 80 years and they're all perfect, and I'm an authority figure and I've got it all figured out, and I spent 70 years in a temple in the far remote regions of India, and I sat on a park bench for 6 years and I didn't move, then all of a sudden one day my brain farted and I downloaded the real secret that you need. To me, that's just really dishonest. That's just fucking bullshit, because it's like, dude, you're a fucking person. Like, you're a person just like me. Like, why do you need to add these extra layers of bullshit? Like, I don't give a fuck how much of an expert you are. We are both going to end up in the same place. We are going to be dead as fucking dead can be, in the ground, or maybe in ashes, or maybe in outer space, or maybe in the ocean. Who knows? But that's where we're all going. And we all came out of a vagina in some fashion. So, I don't know. It depends on at what scale and how much delusion you really want to, operate under, and how insecure you really are, and how insecure you can really allow yourself to be. Because we're all deeply insecure, but I think the more you can actually just be like, yeah, I'm a fucking person and I'm insecure. I could die at any time. This is the world I live in. Holy shit, this is crazy. What can I do? Okay, well, I could, try to understand myself, understand this fucking world that I live in. I could do things that are genuinely, I enjoy and are rewarding. And, I could maybe try to have a positive impact in the world, and, help other people, and maybe leave the world as slightly better than the way I found it. I don't know. We could give that a shot. Or, you could be a lot of other things are possible. But basically the point of that is, I'm a person who has perspectives and opinions which are usually accurate because they're based in specific things. I mean, for pretty much everything I say, I could go into boring levels of detail and take you through all of the logical formula and all of the just minutia of how and when and why I arrived and why I said it in this way, and but that's really boring, and it's a bit much, really. It's a little too much. But then I guess the last thing I say, I also have enough self-awareness to understand the stuff I give a shit about and the stuff I'm into is pretty small, pretty obscure, generally not that important to most people. It's important to me, it's interesting to me, but that's just honest, and that's kind of what the truth is. So I don't really expect other people to get on board or agree or be on whatever or care. That's fine. You totally don't have to. I mean, if people want to, then that's their choice, to do whatever, because they're individual. But anyways, I just wanted to illustrate a couple concepts which I think are really important, can really at the root of a lot of discord, because sometimes if you watch people in conversation or communication, they're not even communicating, they're not even conversing, they're just sort of talking at each other, and they're both in their own little delusion. And honestly, that's just really confused me since I was a little kid. Just like, what the fuck are you guys even doing? Like, do you just like hearing yourself talk? Do you just like barking at each other? Because the shared space here is not a lot of it. And that's also generally why, anyways, yeah, video's long enough. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.